So my dough's been out of the fridge for 2 hours, and now we're going to do some shaping, and then it's going to sit for another 2 hours before we put it in the oven. So before I start shaping, I've got a proofing mold here. They're really cool. If you've got one of them, they make the bread look really fancy. Now, I also have lightly oiled these pans. I'll do one of them without the proofing mold because probably a lot of you don't have proofing molds, so then you can see how I shape a loaf without it. You can see all this sort of stuff on the web, but you know, seeing as I'm doing a bread video, you may as well see how I do it. Okay, so here's the dough. So I've floured the lightly floured surface. In comes the dough. There we are. Now I'm going to use, this is enough for 2. So I'm just going to cut it in half. Like this. Okay. So to shape, all I really do is put it into the shape of a ball. So I sort of just bring it to the centre like this. You're sort of getting the air bubbles out. Do it again. Pretty simple. Pinching as I go. You can find, like if you want to do a different shape, you can do it into an oblong. There's also heaps of information out there on shaping if you think that you've got a better method. So as you can see, now what I tend to do is make sure there's heaps of flour, because bringing them out of the proofing molds, you don't want them to stick. So that's a fair bit of flour. I'm going to put it in the proofing mold like that. This one here, I'm going to put into, you know what, I'm just going to go a circle again. It's not so different if you want to do an oblong, it's the same thing except you just do it slightly more in the shape of a rectangle. Okay? Not a lot of stretching here, it's really just getting in the right shape. Okay? So as you can see, we've got ourselves another ball here. Now, this one is going to just be going right way up, and this is going to go like this into the oven. So you just want to make sure there's plenty of flour so that it doesn't stick. And don't be afraid to put a heap of flour on it. It's a relatively wet dough, so I really do make sure there's plenty of flour on it. Okay, we're not going to do scoring it, we do that right before it goes in the oven. So we're just going to put a tea towel over these, somewhere in the kitchen where it's relatively warm, and half an hour before baking I'll show you how to prepare your oven. Okay, thanks. Okay, so this is the one that's in the pan. Now this one, because it was flat, it's kind of ready a bit before the other one, which is kind of handy because I haven't got a very big oven. So I've preheated the oven to 250, and what I'm going to do is put something that will take hot water in the bottom, just a tray. I've got some boiling hot water from the kettle. Now, that'll just warm up in there for a sec. I'm going to score this. I usually use a bread knife. Hang on a sec. I've got to do it whilst I'm holding the phone, just because Jason's in the other room with the bub. Here we go. It's a bit of a delicate process. How did I know it was ready? I was sort of guessing it. It's sort of risen about 1.5 times its size. You can press it with your finger and there should be still a bit of an indent, but it can feel a bit springy. It can be hard to know that point, but if it's sort of, if you can estimate it's about 1.5 its size, it's probably ready to go in. So that's that scored with the bread knife. Now what I do is I put this in the oven, on the top shelf. I'm going to throw some boiling hot water from the kettle. In it goes. This helps, oh sorry, wrong direction. This helps get a crusty loaf, like a nice, hopefully a nice thin crust. Okay, shut that door up, timer on. Look, it's usually about 50 minutes in all honesty. After 10 or 12, I'll just turn the dough around, I'll turn the bread dough around 180 degrees, and then, yeah, then I'll just continue baking it. If your oven's like mine and you've got elements on the top and bottom, you might want to lower it to the bottom shelf after 30 minutes or so, so you don't burn the top. If you've got a fan forced oven, it probably doesn't matter as much. Okay, and my other one, once I put the other one on the bottom shelf, I can put this one on the top shelf. So it's not ready yet anyway, it's close, but it takes a bit longer in these rounder pans because it's all the volume's sort of a bit more condensed. Okay, it's been about 12 minutes and I'm going to swizzle this around. It's right, it's risen up nicely, that's exciting. Okay, and yep, that's all for now. Okay, now as you can see, that's looking, some people might say, oh, that's looking a bit burnt. Honestly, with sourdough, that's not such a bad thing because it's just going to be a nice crust. But if you don't want it that kind of toasted, you can just go a bit less before you put it on the bottom shelf. Okay? And that also means that we're ready for this stage, which is the mould coming out of its happy place. What am I doing? Okay? So this is the scary bit. 1, 2, 3 down. Oh no, let's just hope for the best. Fingers crossed. And look at that. Not terrible. Okay? Now, again, just going to hold the side. There's the baby food in the background. And don't be too afraid to give it a nice deep score, because as you saw with the other loaf, when it rises up, this gives it the room to rise in a nice round fashion. What's so funny, Jason?
Oh, it's not you, it's the situation over here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So this one's ready to go in. In it goes. Let's hope for the best with that one. Cool. Now the bottom one, so that's, so I switched them around at 25 minutes. So the other one would have been for 25, which means I'm going to have 25 more minutes. Around about in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to swizzle the top one around again. And then, yeah, after the full 25 minutes, I'll put the top one to the bottom shelf and the bottom one will come out. Around about. I'll keep an eye on it, but yeah. Cool. So I just got this one out of the oven. It looks good. If you tap it, it sounds hollow. Now, it's not sticking to anything. I'm going to put it on my, this sounds weird, but I just use these racks because I don't always have a cooling rack handy, so I just use the draining rack. It works so fine just as well. So that one's ready to cool. We don't want to cut into it until, give it a good hour to rest, okay? No cutting into it. It'll still be nice and warm, but it needs to rest for 1 hour. Okay? Cool. Okay. Well, these are the two breads looking good. This one's ready to be chopped, so we're going to have a little look inside.
Do you want me to hold that?
Yeah. Okay. I'm on a bit of an angle to get the right height, but that's close. There you go. Got a bit of hole action there. I like to get lots of holes, but this should be a yummy loaf. I'm pretty happy with that. It smells really nice, and it looks like a nice texture. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so that's your sourdough loaf done, ready to be eaten. Butter, whatever you like. Okay, thanks for watching.